Game Jam is a competition where you need to create a game around a given theme in a few days. The most recent major game jam with over 1,700 entries was Brackeys Jam. Participants were given 7 days and the theme was Let There Be Chaos. This theme was a huge oversight on Brackeys' part. Too many participants took that as a call to make some total mess and their games were not fun. Okay, this is the most rated game on the jam by far with 368 ratings. It's gotta be good. View project page and press run. Quality of games which typically rises each year, this time significantly dropped. And I know what I'm talking about. I've played 256 games, here's the list of all of them, including all top 50 overall, top 50 in game design, top 50 fun, top 20 graphics, top 20 audio, top 20 animation, and top 20 theme. That's a lot of games. That said, there were also 33 really nice games made for the jam. In this video, I'll show you the best 9, and if you'd like to see the remaining 24, subscribe not to miss the next part. Let's go! There are typically a lot of platformers made for game jams, and the majority of them are typically quite bad. Hobbin Root is an example of a good one. The game is polished, graphics are consistent, it has some mechanics rarely found in jam platformers, like buying new abilities and pogo sticking on both spikes and enemies. Level design is nice, it has roguelike structure which requires a bit of going back and forth to find where you need to go next. No areas are hidden, they naturally become accessible as you progress. Like, for example, this castle, which becomes accessible when you get double jump. There are even 2 bosses which were not trivial on the first playthrough. Majority of the actual screen is occupied by garbage, which has nothing to do with the game, and so it shouldn't be there, but the underlying game is nice. Morning Star is a nice puzzle game. You need to convert all hex tiles to purple. You convert a tile by stepping on it, but also by using some power-ups. In addition to nice graphics, relaxing music, and overall high level of polish, the game has nice onboarding. It tries to teach you its mechanics by introducing them one by one in its first levels. I say tries because a lot about how power-ups work remained quite confusing and unclear. It is nevertheless above jam average level design when it comes to onboarding and tutorial, especially given that the way power-ups function is, well, not trivial. The game even has a built-in level editor, although I went through the comment sections, and apparently, even though the game has been reasonably popular, there was just a single person who actually published a couple of new levels. A bit better introduction, more levels, and steam it goes! In Color Splice you connect the same dots. That's it, that is the whole game, but it is highly polished. Graphics are stylish, music is relaxing, sound is on point, gameplay is satisfying. You can even choose your preferred color palette in settings. I just don't have a lot of critique here. The only thing I can add is that some sizes look similar and it would be better to use shape as an extra dot feature in addition to size and color. Color Splice is a perfect example of how choosing a small scope allows you to spend much more time on polish and produce something nice. Muchbreaker is a simple but beautiful and cute game where you need to make a couple of words rhyme. It is a super rare example of a word game in a jam, and it's made well. One aspect where Muchbreaker shines compared to most jam games is the story. Not only it is the best story in Brackeys Jam game, it is just a very rare example of a good story in a jam game at all. There are reasonably many jam games with nice graphics, reasonably many jam games with nice audio, and reasonably many with nice gameplay. It is extremely rare for jam games to have a nice story. Story which is not pretentious. Cosmos and chaos, day and night, eons and eons, endless fight. Not presented as a huge wall of text, but which is actually connected to the gameplay and develops as you play the game. A story, cute and nice. Well done. SCP Anomaly is a story-based horror game. You play as a researcher researching the effect of an anomalous glasses called SCP-8008, which apparently can make their wearer to fall in love with everything. And as a target to fall in love with in your research, you have another anomaly, extremely dangerous sculpture called SCP-173, which might kill at an instant if no one has it in their eyesight. As I wrote the script and I wonder, why would you combine 2 experiments like this? In research, you typically study your subjects individually, and even more so when one of your subjects is super dangerous like here. No! The game is heavily story-based. It is probably more of a visual novel than a game. The reason I only rate it as number 2 in story is because the presentation has numerous gaps and is overall quiet and friendly for newcomers and people unfamiliar with SCP. Like me. And like most people. The audio of this game is absolutely amazing and is the best in this gem by far. No other game comes even close audio-wise. Sounds are on point, music is really integrated into the game, it develops with the story and is just amazing. Once done playing, I found it outside of the game to listen to. Another super cool part of this game is 3-in-a-row minigame, which you play several times in the course of the main game. It starts normal but gets crazier and crazier as you progress with experiments reflecting your altered mental state. Incredible. The extended version of the game is already on Steam. Check it out. Rhythm Gamut is an amazing rhythmic game in which you control the king in a quest to capture all enemy pieces one by one, reach the ultimate challenge of going solo against the whole chess army, and finally capture the enemy king. Game requires you to do a little bit of thinking and react to the movement of enemy pieces fast. Sometimes very fast. Nice music, nice art, nice gameplay, very well done. There are some minor issues like pawns attacking you out of rhythm, some rooms being totally out of balance, while some others being slightly boring. But overall the game is quite polished and fits very nice difficulty spot, where it's not too easy, it is almost given you'll have to restart a couple of times. But it's also not too difficult and is actually possible to beat. At least on the normal modes. Not so sure about the nightmare mode. But if you want some crazy challenge, the game can provide that as well. I would really like this to be developed further. At this point you might be wondering, hey Igor, isn't your game the best? And the truth is, it probably is! But I've made an online super slow-paced game for 20 players who had to commit playing for a couple of weeks. Needless to say, I didn't find these 20 players, and the game hasn't been played a single time. If this story seems interesting, subscribe not to miss a video about it. And now it's time for the best of the best, top 3 games of the gem. Letters Big House is a letter sorting game. Why are there so many sorting games made for game jams? Why do jammers like to make them? They are boring! Mostly. Letters Big House is one of a super rare exception of a nice gem game in this genre. So what does make it different? I guess it's a combination of gameplay and balancing. Gameplay-wise, it doesn't overwhelm you with unclear stuff. You only need to pay attention to 3 things. First, the color of the seal. Second, the presence and the correct rotation of the stamp. And third, if the stamp is yellow. You also have simple and convenient controls at your disposal. 1, 2, 3, 4 keyboard keys to select color, left click to sort, and hold space while clicking for letters with yellow stamp. Game doesn't force you to move your mouse all over the place. Controls are convenient, so you are limited by how fast you can react to this specific game, not by your general mouse skills. Regarding balancing, it's also quite good. Game starts simple, slightly boring, but it doesn't take long before the speed increases and you have to pay your full attention to sorting letters. Occasionally, as letters were piling up, I was thinking that I'm about to lose, but then a bonus letter which auto-sorts everything would drop on the table, I'd pick it up and had a satisfying feeling that I could survive for a couple more minutes. Game is very polished, sounds are on point, graphics are consistent, there are various small details like a cute robot face at the bottom, and there is even an achievement hall with 38 achievements. You'll have to play a ton to get all of those. I've never thought I'd put a letter sorting game in the top 3, but here we are. Necromancer is a turn-based strategy battle game with a couple of very unusual twists for the genre. First, there is no grid. Units can occupy any position and you can specify any movement direction. To attack another unit, you need to bump your unit into it. Second, and the most important twist of this game, each turn you can only control 3 units. The rest of your units will move randomly, and if these uncontrolled units bump into you, you get damaged as well. So you have to strategically balance. You can summon more units, but you'll not be able to control all of them, and the uncontrolled ones might hurt you. Besides choosing whether you need more units, it's also interesting to choose which units you need to move and where. I previously said that your uncontrolled units move randomly. That is not entirely correct. That would likely be too random and allow for much less strategic thinking. Instead, the directions of your uncontrolled units are chosen randomly at the start of the turn. You can see those and plan with that in mind. This zombie will hurt me, but I can use this zombie to prevent that zombie from hurting me. You can also try to predict the enemy movement. This knight is probably going to attack my wizard, so let's move sideways. Those are the interesting choices at the core of this game. Game also has various types of units to summon, but they don't feel too different. Another aspect where the game shines is the onboarding. It has a clear and concise interactive tutorial, a thing super rare for jam games, so despite the game being quite unusual, I didn't have any problems to understand how it works. Very well done. The last one, and my personal favorite, totally ethical testing area. The game is so polished that it looks more like a commercial game and not a jam game. You can literally make more levels and just put it for sale. I'm impressed. Pixel art is great, animations are cool, music fits pretty well, menu is smooth, level selection present, and most importantly, nice level design, which both introduces new concepts and presents interesting, challenging puzzles. So what is it about? It's a puzzle game where your task is to exterminate those pesky humans. All of them. You have three means of doing that. The first one are vaccines. The first one are zombies, which chase humans in one direction and scare everyone nearby. The second are bombs, which explode everyone nearby and scare everyone in the radius of 2. And the last one are spikes, which kill humans walking on them, also scaring everyone nearby when it happens. The game captures all of that in its earlier levels. Onboarding is super smooth, but it doesn't take long before you get to puzzles where the solution is not trivial and where you need to think and plan ahead for quite some time. I would like the full version. These are the best 9 games of the Brackeys Jam. If you'd like to see 24 more cool games, which are also great, but just didn't meet the high quality bar of this 9, or if the story about making an online multiplayer game for 20 players in just 4 days seems interesting, subscribe not to miss these videos. Don't forget to like this one, and thanks for watching.